Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Namaste Y'all with Dr. B. I'm so excited to have you join me for this episode. Now, I'm going to try to frame this in a way that makes sense because if you've been with us for a while, it may seem a little off for us to be discussing fashion today. It's like, fashion, what does that have to do with what we're talking about? But I think it's important. I heard one time RuPaul gave this quote where he said, basically, everything we wear is drag, right? And now, no matter how you feel about RuPaul, I think it's very important because if you've ever seen, he's like a chameleon, right? Like on one hand, if you've seen him like fully showing up, like at some of these interviews, like he's fully suited and booted. I mean, like bad suits, right? And he steps into the room and it's like, wow, who's that person? And then RuPaul can like switch and go into full drag and look like a whole woman. And I think the point that he made was basically everybody is born naked. Everything you do after that is drag. And so to his point, I like for us to have a discussion about fashion in a way that is more contextualized. And so in order to really have this conversation about what we put on and how we show up in the world and what it says to the world about our worth and our own value, I had to bring in someone who is a professional in the field who has so much experience with styling clients and helping them bring out their inner fabulousness, from celebrities that you may recognize to your average everyday working woman. And so if you would please help me to welcome one of my very best friends in the whole wide world, Charity Lewis.
Well, thank you, Stephanie, for the opportunity of being here on Namaste Y'all. I'm super excited. Hi, everyone. I am Charity Lewis. I am a style coach. I have been a style coach for quite some time now. I got in the field because I, at one point in time, knew that I was struggling with my own style. You know, we go through life, you have kids, and I wanted to help empower women, not just myself, but just women. I'm also a nurse, so I work as a labor and delivery nurse. Now I teach nursing students, so my lanes kind of align with each other. As women, we navigate all these hats that we wear and roles that we play in life, and sometimes we just lose ourselves, right? So at some point in my life, I was like, where is the girl? Where is she? Where is the old Charity? Let me find her. And now I've been helping so many women and some men along the way and just finding their style and being more confident in their life. So yeah.
I love that. Okay. And so, you know, like me and Charity went to college together, y'all. So like we went back from U of H,
go Cougs,
way back in the Gap, and we became fast friends because I feel like Charity is one of those people where she has this very sweet spirit. And she shows up and she's just so giving and loving and just like open and like, oh, she wants to help everybody and she wants to know all things. And as we built our friendship, I feel like there were times where I almost became like a guard dog. Like I'd be like, who's that trying to play? Like somebody try to do something to Charity. I'd be like, no, don't play with Charity. Like don't do that. Like we don't do that. We don't play with Charity. And so I feel like as we have grown over the years, like I've had the privilege to observe, it's almost like as your fashion sense has evolved, it like as a woman, which I think is natural for women maybe, also you've evolved, you know, over the years as well. Because when we met, okay, so y'all have to go back.
Take them back.
Okay, before we go back though, let me pause and say, okay, so this episode came to me, y'all, because one, I mentioned that RuPaul quote, but two, last year at the Met Gala, I had the privilege of seeing the Superfine exhibit at the Met Gala. Now, if you watch, you know, the Met Ball when all the celebrities were all kind of like in their dandy inspired attire, well, they had this exhibit at the Met Gala. And so it was called Superfine, Tailoring Black Style. And I think Louis Vuitton was like one of the main sponsors, if not the sponsor for the exhibit. And so when I was in New York, a friend of mine got these tickets and I was like, I don't really know what this is going to be like. And when I tell y'all, like I was walking around the exhibit, it was fantastic. Yeah. And essentially, they were, you know, we think about fashion sometimes in a very like superficial way about like clothes and earrings and what we'll put on. But really, in the historical context of this exhibit, I got to see how like fashion and like how we showed up in the world was almost like a a tool
Mm-hmm.
for rebelling against the
Mhm.
system. Like during historical times when Black people couldn't have a lot of money or couldn't have station or couldn't have positions of power, what was in their control was how they showed up in the
How you show
world.
up, yeah.
And they would still put that ish on.
On.
Like they would be hand making stuff,
Yeah.
taking whatever scraps they had to make a vest or make a
Mhm.
this, like out of a potato, like whatever they could get,
Whatever resources
whatever
they have, yeah.
textiles they had. And because it was so important for them to show up and have the dignity and have the respect that they felt about themselves show up in the world, even if they didn't have their rights. And like, so it's so much that I felt like, wow, we really should talk more about this idea between the connection, you know, not in a superficial way, like, do you wear Louis? Do you wear Gucci? Like,
Right.
what's your labels you got on?
Right.
But in this deeper sense of like, how we show up in the world, what we present, what we put on, how we take time to care and present ourselves, what it says about us, and a lot of times where we are in different seasons of our lives. So that's why I needed to have you here, because I know you don't just work with yourself, you work with others as well. Okay, so I had to make that caveat because that's kind of where this episode was born. But let's go back to you, Charity, because I feel like when you came to college, you know, you had a very particular background. And so I feel like it restricted you in a lot of regards. And then fashion almost became like a sort of liberation for you as you got to college and you got to make some other choices. So I don't know how much of that you want to share or is connected with your own story, but I remember that Charity, because she wore the big skirts when we came to college.
Yes. I like that you take it back there, though, because it is a historical thing, right? We all come from these various backgrounds, right? And we look at our history just as Black people, right? African-American community, where we had to struggle and, you know, pick up the pieces to get where we are. We still have to do that today, right? But yeah, my background was I was raised Pentecostal, right? So I could only, for you, some of y'all might understand the struggle, right? And then for you guys who don't understand, I could only wear dresses and skirts. Okay?
Holiness is still right.
Right. We believed in the Lord, Christian belief, right? But just very, very strict religion on how you presented yourself, right? You know, we all have our different interpretations of the Bible and the piece that talk about a woman should not wear pants and blah, blah, blah in the Bible.
A woman should not put on a man's garments or something like that.
So they interpret it as the pants because men typically are going to wear pants, right? And of course, you know, as we grow up, we have to adapt to our parents' beliefs. So up until college, I wore skirts and dresses in high school at Lancaster. I remember, shout out to Justin Isham. Isham. He was one of the basketball players, and he nicknamed me Skirt. Okay, he literally.
Baby, one thing about Lancaster, boy, they was gonna take you. Ooh, I'm glad she left. She wasn't in Lancaster.
Yeah, I didn't graduate from Lancaster, but he didn't do it in like a derogatory way. It was like, what's up, Skirt? You know, he put a little bit of little slang on it, right?
Oh my gosh.
But the question was every single day, and I wasn't the only student. I wasn't the only person that wore skirts and dresses. It was another they were sisters that wore dresses, but I wanted to find my identity, right? Like, why everybody got to ask me what I'm wearing? Why I wear skirts and dresses every day? I ain't asking y'all about y'all wardrobe and why you wear polo every day, right? But I wanted to just make it my own identity. So I had every type of skirt. I tell my students now too when I teach them, I was wearing skirts and tennis shoes before it was a fashion thing. Okay, like I was wearing the skirts and dresses. They was long. My skirts was long, real long to the floor. Okay, but yes. So yeah, but that's how I found just my outlet of expressing myself.
But hold on, do you remember when you told me? I remember one thing that made me so sad, Charity.
What?
Do you remember when you told me that you wanted to cheer and you couldn't cheer?
Yes, I couldn't cheer because cheer, like extracurricular. So also with Pentecostal, right? We was at church like 3-4 times a week, right? So, and my grandfather was my pastor. So I was almost like a preacher's kid because he was like my father growing up. So my mom was like, my mom was also a single mom. And not to say that she wasn't going to support me, but, you know, back in those times, it's like, is it going to interfere with church and, you know, our boundaries and, like, how we think and how we operate, and is it going to change you, right? And then I remember just, like, being like, dang, my mama won't let me do nothing. So the only thing I could do was lead. So I was class president. I was heavily involved in, like, student council and things like that because that didn't take away from, like, church and those responsibilities that we had during the week. But I was like, when I grow up and have my own family, I'm not going to restrict my child like that, you know, because I wanted them to have the opportunities. And I don't think my mom did it in a negative way or intentional way, but, you know, it was just a lot going on and she was a single parent. So I do remember, though, I think it was my freshman year of college, you know, you're on campus and everybody get to just get up and wear their pajamas to class. And I was like, man, I just want to do that because now I got to be intentional. I got to plan my clothes, you know, I got to coordinate my outfits and make sure my little skirts and dresses are in alignment with how I want to represent myself. And I remember having a conversation with my grandfather, my grandmother, and my mom and like saying like, you know what? It was Stephanie, our roommate, she just told y'all about this. And we went to Fountain of Praise.
Yeah.
And we went to a youth Bible study
Shout
on
out
Wednesdays.
Pastor Remus Wright and Mia K. Wright.
And Dr. Mia K. Wright. And I remember one time we were coming, because our schedules were like aligned at, I think, our junior year of college. And we were coming from work or something, and then we just rushed to Bible study. And at this point, I already told my family I was going to start wearing pants and everything. And they said, well, don't let it change who you are. But when I went home, I was still like, if they came around, change into my skirts and dresses when my grandparents came around, just out of respect. And one day, Stephanie and I went to Wednesday Bible study, and I didn't get to change my clothes. Like, I would still wear skirts and dresses to Bible study and church on Sundays. And this particular moment, I didn't get to change. And we went to Bible study, and I was like, I still feel the Spirit. Like, I still have a connection with God. This doesn't change, like, who I am or my spirituality. And spirituality and religion are two separate things. A lot of people think that they are interchangeable and the same, but they are extremely two different things.
There's a whole nother episode.
Because that's a personal connection with your higher being, you know? And I was like, at this moment, like, what I wear doesn't really define who I am and how I am connected to God. And a lot of times religion does that. And I was like, some people think they can put you in hell, going back to my religion, because I'm wearing pants, you know? So it was just like an eye-opener for me at that moment. And I was just like, I'm just going to be who I am. And people just going to have to respect me for who I am, what I am,
or
and
don't
what
and
I
go
want.
and get
and
away.
Don't, right?
Yeah, or don't and go away from me.
Right.
But the Bible says with the Spirit of the Lord is there's freedom. So, you know, once you start to sense that, and then, you know, because I've talked about in some other episodes, when you're raised to think that like there's these check boxes that you have to do for God to be pleased. Like, you know, I think even people that love us and they mean well and they want us to be, you know, they only know what they have.
Exactly.
Then they give that to us. But I think the thing about freedom is not only do you get to feel it and you get to feel liberated by the freedom, but also that then it transcends to how you show up in the world.
Exactly.
So like you did start to like embrace different things and different styles and different all these things. But then it was some years later when you said, the first time you told me, you were like, yeah, I want to kind of get into, because we have these kind of conversations. This is the kind of friend I am. Yeah. I'm not one of them surface level friends. Yep. You know, me and my friends, we go down through there. We talk about like what you thinking and like what do you want to do in the next year? Like what are your goals? And you mentioned one time like wanting to get more into like styling people and I was like, it just felt like to me it came out of left field. I was like, what? You want to style people? Like, where did this come from? So where did that desire come from before we talk about, you know, some other things related to fashion specifically?
I really think it came from, like I said, I've been a nurse. I've been a nurse now for 13 years and working in labor and delivery. When I did start thinking about styling, I think I might have just had my son, Preston. And you just go through the motions of like just learning like, I kind of feel lost. Like, where's that old girl? Like, she was spunky. She was not afraid to try new things, you know? And then also like just taking care of moms as they're going into motherhood. Some have already experienced being a mom. Sometimes it's their first time. And you just see people just kind of like losing themselves. Because now we're just focused on this human being that we have to take care of, right? And we lose ourselves. And I think it came from that. And when I said it, I was like uncertain a little bit. Like, who are you, Charity? Like, how are you going to style other people and make them feel good about themselves and determine like, okay, what looks good on their body type and things like that? Like, who are you? But I felt like God was giving me this task and a new avenue of an outlet to like express myself, but also like bring along other people. Okay.
And I feel like you're like the perfect person for that task because, you know, sometimes when people think about fashion coaching and styling, they'll think about like whoever the person comes to mind that they feel like wears a lot of things and clothes and a lot of accessorizing. But I think the importance of a person like you being called to this work is that it starts with the internal, right? For you, you're saying
Definitely.
like, I see how women lose themselves and they don't prioritize themselves anymore. And especially in those early stages of motherhood where you might just be like, any kind of robe is on and I'm just lifting it up because I got to feed the baby, and now it's throw up sliding down and then you just slide in your, you know, and there is a period of time where maybe you're not as mindful about like what you're putting on and how you're putting it on. But I also think then there's this, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? You start to feel, you know what I mean? Like less of yourself, and you start to, and so I think it's perfect that you would be called to such work because you are more firstly focused on what's internal. And so that shows up in how you style. Sometimes when you've worked to style me, you have more of a concern about like, how does that feel on your skin? Like, is that comfortable? Like, how does that, as opposed to like, put this on and like, shove her in there and stuff her in there. It's like, how does it feel? Like, how does it make you feel? Like, how does it sit on your body type? Or like, well, maybe that's cute on that Fashion Nova model.
Yes.
See, where's my camera, Nelly? Maybe that's cute on that Fashion Nova model, but you know, she's shaped like that.
Exactly.
Maybe you're shaped a little different. So maybe we should consider. I bought two other options. See, so it's not just about, because people, you know, especially this online shopping, we gonna look on stuff online and click, 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 and then they deliver it, and then now it's time to go somewhere to an event or somewhere, and how you present yourself to the world matters. Like, do we take the time? And I think that's really what it boils down to: is do we take the time to really value ourselves, and then that kind of translates into how we show up. And so for you, I feel like it's great to work with you because it's not just about like what's the event or like whatever, but it's about like where you are in that season mentally. And like, hey, maybe you put on an extra 10 pounds, but that's not the end of the world for styling and fashion.
It's not.
That just means, baby, stop trying to squeeze into the mediums.
Exactly. Go on, accept that new size.
Charity, hold on.
Go on, accept that new size.
Charity, you told me one time, I was working with Charity on something. I think it was a photo shoot look.
Yes.
And I said,
it was a branding shoot.
I was still in denial, y'all. This was when I was in my biggest weight. I might have been like brimming at 200 pounds. And it's some reason in my mind, I think because, COVID. Because I stopped wearing real clothes, I was wearing stretchy pants. So I didn't even know. Leggings. Yes. And so again, that determined how we felt about it. We was trapped. It was like, we ain't paying no attention to how we dressed. No. Well, you got ready to style me right after that. And I said something about a size 10 jeans. And then when we got there and we was trying on the clothes, you were like, it's not a size 10 jeans. I was like, well, this, you know, because I'm looking at the jeans like something is wrong. Did I put these in the dryer? Baby, 14 was the pant size that I got. That 14, hello, was the pant size I needed when I went to Express to get that suit. I never forget, because that was the pair I would put on when I lost the weight. And I would pull them out like a Jenny Craig commercial. Because but you... You were so gracious. Well, Lansus, I think the 10 is not, we need to go, we're going to try on some other sizes and we're going to see it and it's going to fit and it's going to look good.
It's going to look good.
But the thing is with people, if you have a whole closet full of, let's say 10s or 8s or 6s and you can't fit them anymore, you just start to feel defeated. You just start to question like what's going on. In my head, I could no longer, one of my favorite stores is Zara. After extra large, you can't shop at Zara no more. They ain't got nothing in there for you.
You can barely shop there at an extra large.
I was in the dressing room confused. Like, why is this not, why didn't y'all start making the clothes so small? The clothes not small? Key. It's me?
That's key.
It's me?
Different brands, all brands are not the same, right? And all body shapes, colors of people, different culture of people, we all shape differently, right?
We are.
So that's what I have to tell my clients a lot of times, like, don't blame yourself. It's not you. It is the brand. And maybe that brand is not appropriate for you.
No, it was me when I thought I was wearing a 10 and I needed a 14.
That was you.
That was me. That was me and COVID.
But that is the thing. Like, sometimes we get in denial, you know. As life is happening, we gain weight, we depressed, you know, anxious, going through all these mental emotions, and life is happening. And you lose sight of who you are and, like, the fact that, like, oh, I've gained weight. But I've also haven't taken time to, like, consider, like, my wardrobe or taking care of myself, because this is a part of self-care too, like how I show up for myself. So I think in those seasons, even for me as a stylist, you know, going through life, sometimes I'm like, how can I show up for my clients when I'm in this, like, dreary season of life, trying to figure my own stuff out. There was a time where I had gained weight. I remember we went to one of our sorority sisters' parties, and her theme, people with these themes for their parties,
got a theme,
Lord help
y'all.
us.
Why y'all always got a theme? It
The
ain't our
themes.
party. It's your party.
You want me to wear crop tops
If
and
you
sneakers?
want to wear sequins, why don't you do it?
Right.
Why we all got to wear sequins?
Why I gotta wear the sequins and the crop tops when my body ain't ready for the
Y'all
crop top?
stress me. Oh, it was crop tops
It
and
was
sneakers.
crop top and sneakers.
Oh, I was
Your
back
body
on my
was
way.
good.
Body was T, body in.
My stomach was pudging a bit.
Oh,
but I made it work because I'm a stylist. I got to figure it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's like when you're going through those seasons, it's like, who am I? Who is she? You know, and you have to adjust and learn the new shape of your body and who is this new person at this weight and this size, right? Because it's almost like an identity crisis too. Because I once knew myself as a 0 or 2 when we was back in college.
Yes,
and then as we get older, you know, you'd be looking through them pictures like, oh, we was skinny and sexy, right? But then you want to be a little thick when you get a little older, or you have babies and you know your body changes and you can't control it. It's a normal part of aging. So you kind of lose sight of who you are and you have to find and refine and rebuild the wardrobe in yourself and again the confidence, right? The self-esteem level. So when you go back to saying internally, right? You have to internalize, who am I? How do I feel about this person that I'm looking at the mirror who I don't recognize?
I would look in the mirror when I was at my biggest weight. And I just remember I would look in the mirror and I would be like, I don't even know this person. And I heard Tamara Mowry, I think one time described that when she was on The Real. And she was like, I would look in the mirror like, who is this? Like,
who
this
is
isn't
she?
even me. Because it's not even aligned with like my values and how I see myself and like whatever. And so I think that's important to note that when you have those different seasons, like I always feel like you can tell how somebody is showing up when they have something going on, you know? And so to me, it warrants a conversation, even with you. Like, I know, you know, that you've gotten into fashion and style and whatever. And so when you show up in a certain way and you haven't taken particular care with yourself, and that's not to say sometimes we're not just rushing or whatever. But I think you're able to assess a lot of times somebody's internal state of being by how they're showing up consistently when you see them and when they're, it's like, what's going on? Like come, let's sit, let's talk. Like, how you feeling? Like, what's going on in your internal space? And I think that's why people say when they see people glowing up, they're like, oh, like you looking good, like you, because you're taking care now yourself. Again with yourself and you're moisturizing your skin.
Exactly.
And you know what I'm saying? And so people can, I think that's the external manifestation of prioritizing yourself internally.
Exactly.
So I want to talk about you. I like to have a guest on that is an expert in something because I just have my own individual experience, right? And then observing other people. But you have had the opportunity to work and style women and help women, whether it's overhaul their wardrobe and they want to do new stuff. I think sometimes I'm going to ask you to share. People think about like, it would cost way too much money, right? Like if let's say there's a woman listening to us and saying like, hey, you know what? I really need to like get back to myself and like, and be more mindful about like what I put on and how I show up and like, you know, can I get a new undershirt? That one's dingy now. Like, you know, these things that make you feel good about yourself. And I think it's the most loving thing that you can do, but it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. So I just wanted to add this little blurb here and then I'll let you take it away into, you know, something deeper. But recently, so we have a good friend, one of our line sisters, Tish, who swears by thrifting. And so we'll be on FaceTime and she'll hop on there and be like, I got this for $3. I got this for $5. And I'll be like, there's no way. And she'll be like, I got this for $3. I went thrifting. And she'll show me like quality stuff, like good quality clothes. And I'll be like, please find me things. And she'll be like, no, come do it yourself. So finally, the day after Mother's Day, I was off. This was the key. You have to be off. You can't be in a rush. Because for me, I used to be like, okay, we're going to the thrift store, but then I got to be gone by this time because I got this to do and that to do. But now, see, I'm a recovering type A. I don't do that to myself anymore. So I took off on a Monday. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to be at your mercy. Show me, because she has a system, right? She starts on one side, works her way
all the thrifters have a system.
All the way through the Goodwill. And now, first of all, you know, I'm already like, the Goodwill. But mind you, my
a-
mama used to thrift.
Yeah.
And let's see, I wore this in
You
her
wore your
honor.
thrifting
Because I
blazer.
got this from my mama. And I'm pretty sure she probably got it from a thrift store. But when I think
Very
about, like, from my style aesthetic, when I think about the women that were like style icons for me, because I'm an 80s baby, I grew up in the 90s. I think about the women, like they used to have the blazers, they used to have the suits. I'm thinking about like Boomerang, you know what I'm saying? Robin Givens in Boomerang or Gina Waters on Martin. And then my mom in the 90s was in that similar vein. I remember feeling so much admiration when my mom, she would come out with her suits on, with her little shoulder pads right here. And she used to work at the Bank of America building, big green building, like up on the 60-something floor when they had Take Your Daughter to Work Day.
Yes.
And I just remember that being like in my mind when I think about women that I admired and like how I feel then when I put myself together.
Exactly.
I feel like those women. And then when I was working in schools with girls, then I could see them looking at me like that when I took care with myself. And so I just always like to be like, and it doesn't have, I think the cost, especially if your body's changing and is getting bigger, you like, okay, I've gained weight or lost weight or whatever. I don't have like money to go overhaul. And so I wanted to offer somebody that's like, listen, if you have time to go early now, first thing when they open, to a thrift store, and you know what your aesthetic is. Like for me, I went and asked the lady, where the blazers? I'm going to the blazer aisle, and I found, I'm telling you, for like $5-7, like quality things. You know, people done took somebody done passed and took their stuff to the Goodwill. Quality stuff. And so in your experience, I wanted to know, what would you say, because I know a lot of women think about the cost. Like, I don't have time to like go overhaul my closet, get all new stuff and whatever. I offer them, start with thrifting. Start with just getting some good pieces that make you feel comfortable, some go-to, like I got some new slacks when I went, and I was like, oh, okay, like these are really like, what do you offer them if they feel like it's just too much to try to think about like fashion and overhauling my style when I got all these other things to do and we're all so busy?
That's a good point. I definitely think so. Like you said, you know your style aesthetic, right? You know what your personal style is. Now you start with that, because some people don't know what their personal style is.
Oh,
right?
I never thought of that.
And a lot of times when I am taking on clients, I'm asking them like, what is your lifestyle, right? What do you do day to day? Do you work somewhere? Do you work from home? Do you have to go into the office? What does your day look like? Are you meeting with people? Because if you're meeting with people face to face, you got to show up and put it on. Put something on that makes you look like the person that you want people to perceive you as, right? Then do you have kids? And after work, are you going to pick them up? And now you're on mommy duty, or you got to take them to soccer practice. Like, so I generalize style around your lifestyle. Like, what does your lifestyle look like? Okay. So then we can formulate outfits that can align with your lifestyle. So maybe you learn like, oh, my personal style is, I like the classic blazer look, right? So if your job is more casual, we can do blazers and a nice pair of jeans or casual pants, and you can do sneakers. Because now if you coming from meetings and now you got to go be mommy, ain't nobody got time to be wearing no high 4 to 5 inch heels, right? Or maybe you take those off after your meeting, but we can show you how to align your style with your lifestyle. So I like to start there. And then as far as like an overhaul, or like what are the pieces that I need, so we determine what your personal style is, right? Based on your lifestyle. And then we look in your closet. Okay, do you even have these pieces that line up with what your style goals are for yourself and your personal style? And then we work there to see, okay, what are you not wearing versus just holding on to because it's just been in your closet. It's been in there for 2-3 years and you ain't worn it. Sis, let's go ahead and donate this and get rid of it, right? Because now it's just taking up space, and that's why you're continuously in your closet saying, I don't have nothing to wear, right? Because that's just taking up space, either because you can't fit it anymore, or it just doesn't really align with like what your personal style is or your lifestyle is now. And then from there, we look at something what I call wardrobe gaps. Okay, so you're talking about basics. Do you even have a basic white shirt that you can put under a blazer, right?
Gotcha.
Do you have a pair of 3 to 4 or 5 nice pair of jeans, right? Light shades, dark denim shades, like that can go with your lifestyle. Do you have an appropriate collection of shoes, right? Do you have an appropriate collection of dresses? Is there color in there or not, right? Because now you may like color, but oftentimes I see some of my clients don't want color because as they walk in a room, that's going to draw attention to them, right? I work with some powerful women, and I'm like, sis, girl, You know our skin. It looks good with color
Put that color on.
Right? But
let them look.
I don't want the people to look at me. Why not?
Yeah.
Why? Why not?
Behold.
Okay? Why not? You know? And I get it. A lot of times, you know, sometimes we just want to silently enter a room. But you should feel confident when you step into a room. So let's add some color, right? And we can start subtle, right? So we look at that. But I like to identify the wardrobe gaps because those small details matter, right? The wardrobe gaps of like just basic tees, basic camisoles that you can throw under a blazer, shapewear, right?
Ooh.
Shapewear is where you need to start.
Okay, if you tell them right here. Look right
the
there.
shapewear, sisters, women, the shapewear, because we know. I can attest to this, right?
Okay.
I will go and buy my son and daughter some new underwear, right? They growing, they need it.
Yeah,
but how many times we look in our
That's
you got
so
them
good.
granny panties in there that you can have for 12 years,
and
20
they half
years.
ripped up.
And they half ripped up. And I get it. Some, you know, you might like to sleep in those, right? But go ahead and go on to like a Victoria's Secret or Fenty.
I love a good Fenty.
Fenty be having some nice
Just
little
put
sales.
and
Because when you look good underneath
it
the
feels
wardrobe,
good.
right? You got your matching set on. It fits well. Your boobs ain't falling out, and you ain't got the boob side. You know, like it's starting with that foundation.
I'm not gonna let her hate on the big boob girls. You know what I'm saying?
Small boob.
She don't understand that struggle. Don't feel judged by her.
I'm not judging.
If you're in the D's and Up club,
I'm not judging. I love everybody.
I'm here for you.
All bodies are created equal. Okay.
Okay.
And some of us are blessed, and some of us not. And I am not blessed in that area.
Yes.
But
well,
at the same
tell
time,
the Lord, thank you.
Some people don't know their measurements, and that's what I'm saying. So now they have spillage over because they haven't taken the time just to go and say, hey, can you measure my size so I can get.
But see, that's another thing about prioritizing ourselves, because like you're saying, we're going to make sure.
You got to make time for it.
We're going to make sure our kids are dressed to the T's, this and this.
You're going
and
to
they
be
got
at the Target and the
Walmart
Walmart
back to school shopping for the kid already. She got her stuff ordered. But to your point, like you have to prioritize. It's almost like
it's self-care. It is self-care.
And it's revolutionary for some people, especially if you're looking at your budget. Like, okay, you know, there's inflation, there's this, there's that. It's like, and to say, but I'm gonna hold space to do this. Even if you had to go to Ross, like even if you got your measurements at Victoria's Secret and then you went to Ross to go find a nice set. Even if you said each paycheck, I'm just gonna get one set. Like when I did the Fenty subscription for a while, for a couple years, and you know, it's just once a month you're gonna get a new little set, and then you're gonna be good to go. So I think that's so important. Okay, so as we start to wrap, we've covered quite a bit today. The wardrobe gaps are really big. You know, the historical context of fashion and how we show up in the world and what it says about our internal state and the dignity that we have. But I also want to leave with, for one more thing I will offer people is the purge. I want to mention this ideal of the purge. So for me, it's seasonally. I will go through, and I have to do it for my kids' closet too, and it sucks. I really hate to do it, y'all. But seasonally, I have to do the purge, where I have to go through my closet and literally take the sections and take everything out of the closet. I put it on my bed, and then I physically have to go through and be like, you know, you have to have whatever your rules are. Like for me, if there's something that doesn't fit anymore, it gets purged, of course. But also, if there's something that I haven't worn in an X amount of time, I'm just going to donate it, right? And so I give the things away. And I have a particular place where I donate my clothes. And the idea is twofold. One, I have a spiritual practice of generosity.
You do.
And I think
she is very generous.
It's practical. Like people like to think about like, oh, giving you shall receive. It's not just about like giving your tithes at church. Like I clear my closet with the expectation that I can never be God-given. I'm going to give these things away. And I'm talking about, I give away stuff that's expensive too. I'll be like, before I give it away, I just rub it. I'll be like, woo, this dress cost me. This was a fine dress. You know, but like how many times you going to, especially a special occasion dress, how many times you going to pull out that special occasion dress? We just wanted like a relic in the closet. Like, look how beautiful she was. Like, just rub on it. But so I go through and I purge and I give stuff away, you know, to make physical space, but also, you know, I told Val one time, one of our other lines, I told her, I want to be a minimalist one day. I'm not there.
Yeah.
But I'm not a maximist either, so I'd
Right.
like to think I'm in the middle.
between,
Like, stop. I want to hoard stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so this idea that like purging things, giving it away, because I work at this homeless shelter once a month, and so sometimes like I see things that I've given away like up on the thing, and I'll be like, oh yes, somebody, this is gonna bless somebody.
Yes.
Girl, look at this one. They don't want that though. They be like, ma'am, give me a hoodie. I'm not trying to have no fantastic dress. I'm supposed to be outside, ma'am.
Right.
But anyway, the point is to purge and get rid of those old things also keeps you in the mindset of abundance. Like I'm going to always, you know, be able to get something new for this new season that I'm in. I don't like to do a lot of trendy kind of clothes.
Right.
I'm more of a classics. So I
Very
have
good.
my blazers.
Very
you
good.
know what I'm saying?
The trends
my
don't
collection.
always be trending, everybody.
Yes.
So stop trying to dress like your favorite influencer, okay? That's on trend. That's not your body shape, okay? And like Stephanie said earlier, once you get them clothes, you're going to be crying because it don't look good on your body shape.
Yeah,
Okay,
because them little models they be having, girl, on there. I'd be like, I look at something, I'd be like, yeah, but nah. See, what she don't have is that C-section,
Right.
Step down right there. You know,
The little pudge that won't.
very
still,
good.
They're being stubborn and gone saying bye-bye.
So anyway, I just wanted to offer that to somebody too. The purging your closet, getting rid of things instead of hoarding them will like open up the space for you to get the new things that align with where you are in this current season, and then you will see, like, as you do care for yourself and put yourself together, how it impacts how you show up in the world. Okay, so the last thing that I will offer somebody that's watching is one thing that has worked for me is the Sunday prep, right?
Yes.
So we prep for our kids sometimes.
Yes.
We know, okay, for school, we put their clothes up and we iron their clothes. But I started doing it for myself too.
Yes.
I will look at the weather for the upcoming week. I will look at my calendar for the upcoming week because I work remotely. So I'm looking at, okay, maybe 3 of the days I don't have to be in person with folks, but maybe 2 of the days I do. And what do I have to do? And steaming those outfits and like picking it out in advance and being mindful of what time of the month is it. At a certain time of the month, I'm gonna be in black, dressed in all black like an omen every time, because that's how I feel when it's all black. Me, please, right? And so I just wanted to point that out too, because if we're thinking about fashion, and we don't want to make these decisions every morning. Sometimes it's easier if it's on autopilot. I wake up, and I used to be hardcore, like where it used to be labeled like Monday, Tuesday. I don't do that now. I just kind of put it.
Yeah.
But even on the days when I'm working remotely, I don't want to just be in exercise attire. You know, I might still put like an oversized white button down on top of whatever I'm wearing, like still create some whatever. And so I wanted to recommend the weekly prep. It helps me in my mental space to know, okay, when the week comes, we don't have time in the morning to be like, well, do I want to wear that?
Yes.
Do it on Sunday, hang it up, have it ready to go, and
I totally agree with
you
that.
can go. So that's the last thing I would offer on this topic in terms of how we show up and how we feel about ourselves, and taking time to put ourselves together first. And then everybody else is going to get our energy for the rest of the day. So if there was one last thing you would offer to a listener when it comes to embodying their fashion and style as a fashion coach or a stylist, what would you offer them?
I will piggyback definitely on the prep, right? Because like you said, you do it for your kids. Go ahead and do it for yourself, because life is going to life, right? And then even if you have 5 to 7 outfits, like prep for the week, y'all, please iron. She says steam, iron, steam. Don't show up wrinkled, okay? That goes a long way. Like, that's a whole nother thing. But because, you know, sometimes your mindset shifts in the morning, right? You might was like, oh, I'm going to wear this tomorrow, right? Because I'm going to this. But then in the morning, you might feel a little different, right, with the day. So you have some options to just pick from, right? And you won't be flustered in the morning, and now your day is getting started, like, off. And then the other thing I would say is we talked about the internal portion of it all, right? So I've been going through my own seasonal changes in life, right? But I really, really think you have to hone in on just finding who you are. Like, who am I? How have I lost myself? And how am I going to find that inner me, right? So really dig deep in that, because as I work with clients, a lot of times it's some internal things that people haven't dealt with. And when you haven't dealt with that, I can't help you as a professional, right? That's internal work you have to do on your own, of just realizing, like, what are my insecurities, right? How do I feel about myself in general? Okay, because if I don't feel good about myself in general, how am I going to show up and expect other people to feel confident about me leading this company or me going to a meeting and getting a brand deal with somebody else, like, because that confidence or lack thereof is going to exude when you show up, right? You can be dressed to the T too, but like you said, people can see confidence and they can tell when you aren't confident, right? So do the work now to figure out, like, who is that girl? Or where is the girl that I used to be that I'm trying to get back to? Where did I lose myself? And why did I lose myself in that season? And then where do I see myself going? And how can I present myself as the woman that I want to be and I want everyone else to respect me as? Because once you do that, then other people can come around and help you when you are ready to work with a style coach and help you fulfill your styling goals. Because a lot of times I've worked with clients, and it's not the fact that, and like you said, I'm very gentle. I was a psych major. I have a psych degree. Yes. So I lean into, I'm very observant, and I lean into body language. And I'm trying to be as gentle as possible with anybody that I encounter with. That's also my nursing side, right? But until you actually identify what you're lacking, no one else can fulfill that esteem and confidence that you need to dress and walk out and feel like a confident woman to change the lives of others.
And to be your authentic self.
And to
I
be
think that's
your
what it
authentic
is.
self.
Like, what's your authentic self? And I love to see your journey, you know, from being told what you have to do and the man-made rules that were kind of imposed on you to growing into your own and deciding, you know, what it is that you want to put on and how you want to present yourself to the world. You see what she got on today, this sheer shirt?
Yes, I'm a very modest person, but I got on a sheer shirt.
Oh, look at Charity with a sheer shirt on. Yes, there's freedom here.
That's the 41-year-old Charity today.
Okay, 41. Yes, with your cute earrings and such. But I want to thank you for joining me today. My prayers that this episode will reach somebody who may be in a season where they do need to start prioritizing themselves again. And we talk a lot about internal work and like therapy and mental health on this show, but I think the external manifestation of those things are so important. Definitely. And it's definitely becomes a testimony. You know, like when I go places and people be like, okay, Stephanie, like you, it's like you're coming back from the dead. I remember like maybe 2 homecomings after I had gone through like a really tough season. I saw somebody that was just like, okay, like you looking like Stephanie again. You know what I mean? You coming back to yourself. And so I wish that for every person watching. And now, if people want to find more information about how they can book you or connect with you in any other kind of way, socials, website, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram. I am at Charity Lewis. Okay. And then on Facebook, I am just Charity Lewis.
Okay, and I will tag also those for you so that you can find Charity, connect with her. If you want to book some services, she is fantastic to work with and booking. Thank you. Until next time, namaste, y'all. All right. We out.